We are going to lunar flow this morning. We had a full moon a couple days ago, and now the moon is in its waning phase. So we're going to imitate that as we move through our practice today. Spend a little bit more time on the inside, a little bit more introspection instead of exertion. So, with that being said, let's start laying down on our backs. Bring your body to the floor, your spine, your glutes, your head. Ugh. And just let your arms, maybe take them out into a T so we can notice. I think it's easier to feel around the shoulders, around the rib cage when our arms are stretched out. So take a couple moments just to settle into your body. Notice what your body feels, what your body's telling you. There's so many different philosophies on caring for your body. And a couple months ago, I was challenged by someone who does not believe in rest at all. um, I've talked about her book before. She is The Reclaimed Woman. Her name's Kelly Brogan. She is a holistic psychiatrist. But her theory is, our ancestors didn't really have time for that. They lived in the elements. They had to move around. They had to find their food. They had responsibilities, and she thinks that that means that they didn't take time to be still when they weren't feeling well. I can see that, but I kind of think that because we have inhales and exhales, that we can't live without one side of the spectrum. So you can follow whatever philosophy feels right for today or for this season of your life. Um, you can do that by, if you don't feel like resting today, which we're going to do some more restful poses. If you don't feel like resting, you can engage more muscles and target certain muscles. You can say to yourself, okay, biceps activate, triceps, shoulders, abdominal muscles. And you can build warmth and heat and action throughout your body by simply contracting your muscles. So I just wanted to put all of that out there before we go through at the motions of our practice today. The poses, the breathing. Let's slowly start to let our knees fall from one side to the other. And I encourage slowness because this time of the year is really fast. There's a lot to get done, there's a lot to do. Um, and when we move really fast all the time, we don't get to be as present. We don't, it's harder to access critical thinking when we're zooming from one thing into the next thing into the next thing. So use the stillness to help be present to what your body has to tell you. Use the slowness to really anchor into what we're doing right now. This is it's just a good thing to be able to do, to be present, especially as we go through this holiday vortex. Next time your knees fall to the right, let them just be still. Let them stay there. You can turn your chin so your gaze goes over your left fingertips, knees and neck twisting in opposite directions. Let's add our rock back into the equation. We'll move our knees from side to side, just creating a little gentle movement through the low spine, your low back, everything around your pelvis. If you find any particular spots that are sore or uncomfortable, maybe a little bit ouchy, I invite you to pause there and just see if your body, ask your body what it's telling you. And then just focus on your breath and see if an answer comes into your brain. I guess if there's no answer, it doesn't really matter. It might take a little bit of time for the answer to find you, and that's okay. Take a big breath in, take a big breath out. And let's bring our knees to point back up to the ceiling and bring them in towards your chest. You're gonna hug them towards your rib cage as much as you can. And then take some circles. Both knees stay together. We'll move them in a clockwise motion to start off with today. Just pointing around the numbers on the face of the clock. Again, noticing if there's any parts of the movement that speak to you a little bit louder. We'll change the direction of the circles. Come back to a neutral spine, and we're going to take our knees open to the edges of the room and circle them forward. So just still knee circles, but a little bit of a different variation. Just doing this movement with the intention of bringing extra lubrication to our hip joints. Change the direction of your circles if you haven't yet. If you've been doing a lot of sitting or standing or shopping, our body takes note of that. So maybe your hamstrings are a little bit tight from running through the store. Maybe they're a little bit tight from travel. Maybe they're tight from standing and working longer hours to try to get everything in. Let's bring our knees back to center and lift the feet up to the ceiling. Hold on to the backs of your legs. Find some movement with your feet. Stretch out the feet, open the feet, the ankles, the hamstrings. Your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions over the last week might have something to do with how your body feels today. Let your feet relax and just stretch your heels upward towards the ceiling. Today we have the sun in a fire sign and the moon in a fire sign. We have moon in Leo, I'm pretty sure. Definitely. And then we have sun in Sagittarius. That is a harmonious relationship between the sun and the moon, which indicates harmony between our inner world and our outer world. This looks like balance, it looks like equanimity, it looks like good communication between our personality and our emotions. Let's bring the right knee down towards the chest, but take your left leg out long on the ground. We're going to do a series of active isolated stretches. So just short stretches to go with the breath. We'll exhale, tap your right toes down on the ground. Inhale, pull your knee towards your chest. Exhale, tap your toes. Inhale, hug it in. Continue with that pattern of movement. Let's do 3 more. 2 and 1. Awesome. We will keep this right knee plugged into the chest, hug it in close, and then we'll move it over towards the left shoulder. So we're just slightly crossing our center line. This is a really good way to reset the sacrum, some of those little bones at the bottom of your spine. Sometimes get out of alignment, whether it's by tight muscles or impact, like falling on your butt. Um, these bones can just get out of whack a little bit, and of course that affects our muscles. It affects so many things. So just this simple posture can help to reset those lower spine bones. It might not feel like it's doing very much, but that's okay. That's what this part of the lunar cycle is for. We focus more on introspection, on the subtleties than the extremes, the loud stuff, the action-oriented stuff. One more big breath in and out here. And bring your knee back towards your right shoulder, back towards center. Let's give that knee a squeeze. Lift your nose up towards your knee, big hug. Pull your belly button down towards the ground and just hold this squeeze for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax your head. Twist your right knee over your chest. So we're twisting now, driving the right knee across the body. Take your right arm out to the side and gaze over your right fingertips. With the sun and moon both in a fire sign today and tomorrow, there's a higher likelihood of wanting to take action, acting on impulse, recognizing something and then doing something about it right away. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes we autopilot our way through that little dance, but just with where we are in the lunar cycle, I encourage you to think first and act second. And it's really helpful. I feel like the only way to do that is to be really present. So if you kept your mind wandering away at all during our practice today, just gently guide it back. Notice the sensations in your body. Use them like an anchor to keep your focus doing what you're doing. Presence is like a muscle. And the more we practice paying attention to what is presently happening, the easier it gets. Let's bring our right knee back towards center. Plant both feet on the ground. We're going to move into banana asana before we do our other side. So let's put our hips over to the right side of the mat. We'll take our left leg out long. We'll make our banana shape with our arms and our legs reaching to the left. So remember, we want both sides of the booty down on the ground. One side, probably the right side, might want to lift up. But this is one of those postures that the more you can soften, the more length you'll get in your body. I just got this image in my mind of walking a dog, whether it was our first dog, Sully, or our second dog, Lulu. When we took them for walks, part of their training was to keep them, like not pulling on the leash and like walking beside you, or walking beside me, which took discipline throughout the entire walk. I mean, dogs just, they smell something and they want to go. But that's kind of what our mind does. Our mind does that. Um, and we get out of the present moment very, very easily because we see a squirrel or we smell something or something catches our eye that needs our attention. We want to do something about it. We want to figure it out. We want to fix it, etc., etc. But with all this fire energy today, I encourage you to be like the walker of the dog. If that dog pulls on the leash too much, you give it a little tug back and say, nope, heel. And supposedly, I don't think we ever practice this enough with our dogs. Supposedly, if you're consistent, then the dog learns. And I think our mind is like that too. So wrangle your focus, your attention, your awareness into softening your body, relaxing your muscles. Take a breath in, take a breath out, and let's unwind our lower body. Recenter yourself on your mat, move your spine back to neutral, your shoulders back to neutral, hips back to neutral. And let's pull the left knee in towards the chest. Take your right leg out long on the ground. We're going to move through our rapid stretches. So let's exhale, tap the left toes down on the ground, and inhale, pull them back towards the chest. Exhale, tap. Inhale, pull them in. This is just kind of reminding some of the muscles around your pelvis, how they're supposed to do their job. Sometimes our hip flexors get stuck, those muscles in the front that help us lift our knee up when we're standing. Sometimes they get stuck and it anchors our pelvis, which will ultimately affect our shoulders and our knees and our feet. Everything is connected. So see what you feel. Use your body like an anchor and wrangle that dog. Wrangle the dog into healing. Not pulling on the leash. We're just focusing on what we're doing right here, right now. Let's do 3, 2, last one. Awesome. Then bring your left knee in towards your chest. Cross it over towards your right shoulder just slightly. We want to be just over your center line by like 2 or 3 inches. Remember, this is the subtle stretch that helps to balance our sacrum. So don't overdo it. Overdoing it will not help the cause. Underdoing it will not help the cause. This is Goldilocks zone. It's hard to find Goldilocks if we're not paying attention to what we're doing. So again, we come back to that idea of walking the dog. Notice what you feel in your abdomen and in your low back and around your pelvis. You can feel something like a muscle having a twitch or something. What about you? What's going on inside? Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. Slowly guide your left knee back towards center. And then give it a squeeze. Lift your nose up towards your knee. We're going to hold here really strong for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Soften. Relax your head down to the ground. Let's take our big twist now, taking the left leg over the right side of the body. Left arm goes out long, reaching over towards the side of the room. And just do what you can. This is a bit more intense than our initial stretch at the beginning of our practice. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And let's bring our left knee back towards neutral. Plant both feet on the mat. We're going to do our banana stretch on the other side. So we'll slide our hips to the left. Take your arms and your legs and move them to the right. So we're making our big banana shape to the right. We should feel this up and down our left side body. In my body, I feel it mostly between my hip and my armpit. So see where you feel it in your body. I One of my girlfriends is just perpetually learning and seeking and trying to figure things out, and that's some of my favorite qualities. She sent me an interview a couple days ago. It's a series of interviews of mothers of nonverbal autistic children. It's called the telepathy tapes. And it talks to different mothers with different children, different ages. One of the children is 18. One of them was early 20s. A lot of them are much littler. But these mothers all notice that their children can read their minds. So they kind of banded together and wanted to set out to gather some information on this idea. And they decided to run tests using random number generators, random word generators, decks of cards, random image generators like Uno cards, playing cards. They'd have their child go to one side of the room. They would generate the word or the number or the image or pull the card, show it to the camera crew, obviously not show it to the child. And the child would guess whatever was on their card or whatever word or number or image was generated with a near 100% success rate. Now, that's not very accepted. Like a lot of these people have lost their medical licenses in pursuit of this kind of information. But one of the things that has really stood out as I've been listening is that you have to get your mind quiet first before they can communicate with their children telepathically. These kids say like, "Mom, you have too many voices. You have too much going on inside your mind." It like crosses the wires in their brain, and then they can't think either. And that whole thing just raises such a responsibility to us to sort out the weird stuff that goes on in our minds. Let's come back to a neutral spine. Take your time. Wiggle back to center on your mat. And then bring both of your knees in towards your chest. Find a little bit of a rock, a little bit of a sway. And back to center. Let's find a happy baby. Grab onto the bottoms of your feet, pull your knees down beside your ribs. Press your low back downward into the ground to really lengthen your spine. And we'll be here for a couple of breaths, so you can do what feels good. You can rock or be still. And some of the scientists, some of the doctors that are helping with this are thinking, this just goes to show how important human connection is. That even though these kids, these humans can't communicate with their language, connection is so important that they have figured out a way to do it without using their words. And in fact, now that's how most of them prefer to communicate. They say it's less clunky. There's less interference, less interception. But it also reminded me just how sensitive we can be. I think it's easy to forget because of all the stimulus, all of the things that we do on a daily basis, all the lovely distractions we have outside of us. But what if we can? What if we can connect without words? I think we can. I think our bodies read other bodies' energy because I think that's what they were made to do. But then again comes this concept of responsibility. If you're walking around with poison in your mind and your heart, and you think that it's contained within you, you're mistaken. That poison is affecting people around you. This is why the introspective part of the lunar cycle is so important, I think. We can tune into our inner world, can think first and take action later. We can clean up some of the messes. Let's come back to a neutral spine. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Lift your nose up to your knees again. We'll hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your head. Let's rock and roll 3 times and come to a tabletop position. Once you get into table, take a couple of C curves, wiggle it out from side to side. Take one more C to either side, and then come back to a neutral spine, and we'll do cats and cows. We'll wave up and down with our spine instead of side to side. Let's come back to a neutral spine. Take your right leg out long behind you. Stretch that leg out so it's up, it's parallel with the floor. Point your pinky toe down to the ground and then lift your left arm up. Reach it forward. We want to send these limbs out as long as we can. From the right hip to the right heel, left shoulder to left fingertips. Extend out, stretch out. You should start to feel hopefully a little bit of a burn in your right booty. You're really lifting and engaging, squeezing your muscles around your thighs, around your pelvis. Now let's hug in. We'll bring our elbow and knee together under our body. Squeeze, squeeze through your core. Keep finding action in your arms and legs, and then lengthen out again. Take a long stretch. Reach, reach, reach. And squeeze. Bring your knee and elbow together under your body. Hug them as close to your body as you can. Engaging through your core. Good. Take your leg out, your arm out, stretch, stretch. And then plant your palm. Set your right toes down on the left side of your mat. Look around your left shoulder for your heel. Let's come back to neutral. Take your leg up and long again, so it's back up in the air. We'll step our right leg up between our hands, and then let's come up into a high lunge. So both feet are on the ground, both knees are lifted. A little bit more of an active position right now. Leave your left fingertips down on the mat, but take your right fingertips up to the ceiling. Big twist. Reach your body open. Pull your right shoulder blade back towards your spine. And then bring both hands down to the inside of your front foot. Let's drop our back knee down. Walk your right foot over to the right side. Lizard pose. Press your hips forward and down. Again, this is a big concentration of sensation in your left hip flexors. You can feel them at the top of your left thigh. You probably feel it somewhere in the right side of the pelvis as well. But just practice presence, practice walking that dog and just focusing on the sensation that is available to you. See if you can bring about any softness with your awareness just by recognizing the sensation and relaxing into it. Take a breath in, take a breath out. Walk your right foot back in between your hands, and we're going to straighten that front leg out. So we'll slide our hips backward. Um, Double check, make sure that your left knee is directly below your left hip bone. Let's start to shift our hips back towards the top of the mat. We're going to plant our palms and bring the knees back under your hip bones. So we're back in our tabletop position. Extend your left leg back to the wall behind you. Big, long leg from hip to heel, lots of space. Then extend your right arm forward. So we're opposite, left leg, right arm, stretching our limbs away from our midline, activating arm muscles, leg muscles, core, glutes, bringing some action here into this simple posture. Hug knee and elbow together under your body and squeeze your core. Hug that knee in as close to your body as you possibly can. Then extend it out long. Heel, fingertips, all moving away from the middle of the body. Extend, activate your muscles, and bring your knee and elbow together again. Connect under your body, squeeze, hug them in, hug together. Extend out. Long stretch, big reach. Plant your right palm down. Cross your left foot over the right side of your mat. Look around your right shoulder for your heel. Let's bring our leg back to center and then pull it through. So our left foot steps up between our hands. Um, Lift your back knee up off the ground. So we're in a high lunge. Lift your left fingers up to the ceiling. So we're twisting. Left hand lifts up, right hand is down. Left foot is forward, right foot is back. Big twist. Pull that shoulder blade back. And then plant your palms to the inside of your foot. Lizard pose, drop your right knee. Wiggle your left foot over to the edge of your mat. And surrender. This is intense around the pelvis. It's intense for a reason. It's intense because of all the steps you've taken, all the chairs you've sat in, all the times that you were afraid of being rejected or turned away for who you are. Like this is a multifaceted system. It's not exclusively physical, it's not exclusively mental or emotional. It is everything. Take a breath in, take a breath out, and let's come up. We're gonna wiggle our left foot back in between our hands and then stretch that left leg out long. Slide your hips back, our front leg straightens. We get a good hamstring, calf, even like foot stretch here. Make sure, feel your right knee falling under your right hip bone. We just want to make sure we have that support, that structure for our body so we can really soften into this left hamstring. I invite you, just an idea, to bring a hand to your hamstring and to like actually palpate it. See how tight it is or not. From my experience working with bodies, most people's hamstrings are just ungodly. So even though I can feel my tight muscles with my fingers, and I guess I can feel a little bit of sensation from the stretch, it doesn't seem congruent. It feels like it feels much tighter with my hand than it does in my body. So that's good information for me to have as the operator of this vessel. Let's bring a bend back into the front knee. And let's see. Let's take a seat. So bring your hips to the floor, cross your legs in front of you, and let's take a twist to either direction. We're gonna go to the right first. So right hand over to left knee. Lift your chest up tall, look back over your right shoulder. We want as much rotation through the spine in this twist as you can without being damaging to yourself. So take that into consideration, please. And release and go to the other side, right hand, left knee. Big, tall stretch through the spine, chest is tall, and look backward. Back through center. We're going to go back to the first side, but this time keep the belly button pointing forward. So that's going to reduce the amount of twist through our lower spine, but it's going to increase the amount of twist up behind our shoulders. So this one, it might feel like you're doing less, but it's just concentrated in a different zone, if you will. Let's untwist, go back through center. Belly button stays pointing forward. Bring this twist up between your shoulder blades behind your heart. I always think it feels so good. I think this is a big spot where people carry tension. Let's come back through center. Take your legs out long. And let's bring our right foot in to our left thigh. Drop your left hand down on your left leg. Take your right arm up and over. Lean over to the side. Feel that space opening up in your armpit, between your rib cage, but your ribs, and then between your ribs and your pelvis. Let's bring ourselves back up to neutral. Take both legs out long. Inhale, stretch up, and exhale, fold over both of your legs. Walk your spine back up tall. Bring your left foot into your right thigh. Same thing, opposite side. Drop your right hand. Take your left arm up and over. Reach, reach, reach. Make some space in your side body. And let's come back up tall. Take both legs out again. We'll do one more forward fold. Inhale, stretch. And then exhale, fold your way forward. I highly recommend listening to the telepathy tapes. I think it's anywhere you can find a podcast. I know they have a website. Um, they have just released one episode at a time, and they're still, I think they have more to come. So I think that is so cool. I've had one of my girlfriends worked in an autism center for children before, and listening to her stories would just make me weep because it sounded unbelievably difficult for the parents. And I just don't know how you could, it would, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you could, I don't know how you could face that. But these moms and these scientists and researchers are hopefully going to be able to provide a means to communicate in a way that makes life a lot easier for a lot of those families. Let's bring our spines back up tall and recline. Come all the way down to your backside. Hips down, spine, shoulders, head, everything comes down to the ground. Oh my goodness, take your arms open again, just like they were when we started our practice today. Cross your right leg over your left leg and lower your knees down to the left, then your eyes down to the right. After lots of twisting today, take your focus through your spine. Notice how this twist feels compared to the first one. Maybe it feels the same. That is that is good information to have. It's not right or wrong. Let's unwind this twist and take it to the other side. Drop your knees to the right, your eyes to the left. And just imagine you're wringing yourself out like a dish towel. Any thoughts, any feelings, any behaviors, anything like that that you just don't want to carry with you over the next week or so. Just let it go. Wring it out. Shift our spine, our knees back to neutral. And let's take one more pose. Let's open up for a triple diamond. Both knees, both elbows open to the sides of the room. Notice the symmetry or lack thereof in your body. You can do this by paying attention to points of contact between the right and left side. So are both sides of your pelvis, does it feel similar from one side to the other? And then your shoulders. Most of us are not perfectly symmetrical. So we might notice that one shoulder lifts up a little bit higher than the other, or one knee lifts up a little bit higher than the other. See what you can smooth out just by paying attention. Very slowly start to lift your knees, resettle your pelvis, bring your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a squeeze one more time, big hug, and then release head, shoulders, all down to the ground. Take your legs out long. We're gonna settle in for Shavasana for just a couple breaths. So any shape you'd like to put yourself in, you can work into that position now. As you lie there and integrate and breathe, I want you to keep that image of walking the dog fresh in your mind. And if you notice that your mind is getting a little bit ahead or yanking on the leash or stuck sniffing the same fire hydrant for too long, just gently guide it back. It will be good for you and for your mind. Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. And slowly make your way up to a seated position. Stack your head over your shoulders. Maybe take a couple gentle head rolls or bobbles from side to side. Oh my goodness, that feels good. Let's bring our spine back to neutral. Connect your hands together, and just offer up an ounce of gratitude for something, anything, maybe everything. With all my love and all my gratitude, namaste.